Thank you for joining me in this live we have today. For those of you who are in here, we're going to be talking about all SBA EIDL updates, the grants. We're going to get into that in a moment and talk about it. But before any of that, here's something a little funny. If you weren't with me, I had to exit out of a previous live to get into this one. So I'm going to repeat just a little bit. So there, stick with me, because what I did on this app was somebody invited me to like some kind of like battle. It's on TikTok here. And if you're gonna see this later on in like YouTube or elsewhere, just know that that's what I've done like the last 15 minutes. I went over SBA EIDLs, all types of SBA loans, grants, the updates on all these things. And then in the middle of that, I get asked to do a match with somebody else who's on live. So I thought I'd just do it. I clicked it, went into it, and there was this whole like battle thing, and I guess it helps with the algorithm if I look at it from that point of view. But in terms of entertainment, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna brush that to the side, and we're gonna get into what I was just speaking about moments ago. Before again, I got not interrupted because I accepted to get into that. But we're going to be talking a little bit about SBA EIDLs and then grants, and then move right away into interest rates and then your fundability. But for those of you who are joining me right now, appreciate you guys being here for this live. I come on here, I try to do this every Thursday. You know, it's Tuesday today, but maybe a couple times a week on this app. I'll be going in and updating you guys what's going on, the news, different alternative solutions to what you're currently looking at, and what is best for you, for your business, so you can grow, build, expand, get out of a tight pinch with funding, right? You have a business and you want to take care of it so that way it can take care of you. The way I look at it as a small business owner myself is, if I have a business, that's my baby. Okay, I'm nurturing it. Okay, I'm taking good care of it every day. I'm putting the seeds in it that's gonna harvest for me time to come. So you gotta look at it like that when you're using funds to grow your small business. When you can't get it from the bank, you can't go to your savings account, you can't even turn to your friends and family for help anymore, there are alternative solutions. There are many of them. We're talking about business loan terms, merchant cash advances, revenue-based funding through a cash advance, all types. We can be here for a while talking about it, but that's not what this video is about. I'm going to try to go again here for another 10 to 20 minutes. And for those of you again who just are joining me, a little funny thing, I wouldn't even call it a hiccup, but I was in the middle of a TikTok. I was getting through my SBA EIDLs. We got through some grants, and then I got a request from somebody again on this TikTok app saying they wanted a match. So I was curious enough to check it out. Didn't think much of it, and I come to this battle where I had a lady who was saying, very nice lady, was saying, "Hey, get these likes up, or tap on the screen," and people were showing likes for both of us. It's just kind of a weird coincidence. I don't know, it was kind of a weird occurrence. But brush that off already. And we're going to get into this video here for all SBA loans. As you already know, that's what we do here on this channel. Try to again be here once or twice per week. Okay, usually I spend most of my time on my blog, or you can find some of my videos on YouTube. And if you haven't already looked into any of that, in my bio, if you're not following me, or if you have been, then you can look in there, go subscribe to the channel. You can learn all about all business funding. I'll be coming out with more than just that. It'll be on with anything you need within your business. We're talking digital marketing. Because before I was in business loan brokering, first of all, I come from a digital marketing background on that. So like many of you, I was working 9 to 5, sick and tired of it. Got into small business, started doing things, got into the online space. And then I started learning how to do everything all like digital marketing related. And then later grew into business loan brokering. Really wanted to help a lot of people who are in my situation. So that's what I've come to. So it's not just for small business lending. You get everything. Like you're gonna get programs, you're gonna see everything, how to market your business a lot better, because that's what I do day to day. So make sure to follow me there if you haven't already, and then in my bio, free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist. Pick that up for faster access. Make sure you're opening up those emails when I send them to you. You're following up on those, and that's how you're gonna get a lot of help if I can't help you personally. All right, SBA EIDLs. So there's been an update for those of you who have requested over 500,000. You've likely, if you are in that category, chances are you've gotten your funding. Not all of them have, okay, but many people have. So if you're over that $500,000 range, some of you guys have already gotten your SBA EIDL. And then we're talking about those of you who are 500,000 less are still waiting, even more. But for now, it's becoming more of a priority. So things are changing where the SBA is saying, hey, let's give more of a first look at these people underneath 500,000. And we'll categorize them as people we want to try to approve right now. And so it's going to be a shift for those of you making 500,000 plus, or who want 500,000 plus, to wait a little bit more time. And we're looking at about a 3 to 5 week period for those 500,000 and under, but it's not exact. You know how the SBA can go with the government. And so the problem with this all is there's been a government shutdown. If you don't know about this, this is something that was released last week. And, you know, we had the Senate and then we have the House. So the Senate was looking for a spending bill that they couldn't come to an agreement on, how much they want to raise, how much they want to decrease. And so then you have the House who couldn't come up with a current debt ceiling, how much is it raising and how much they want to keep control of it, how much of it that they want to decrease. These are all questions they hadn't answered. Stuck in error for 2 months. I'm sorry to hear that. Shirley Bird. There's a comment here. Yeah, no, that's painful. That's like, even when you're not expecting, that's the thing with an SBA loan. Like, you can't expect fast cash. And I know your expectations probably weren't there, but at the same time, you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't need it right this second, but how about in the next week, within the next month? And then you see a couple months passing. That's very common with SBA loans, okay? For those of you who haven't gotten one, haven't gotten started, you can't even get an application in, let alone you're waiting in this painful process. You get declined time and time again, okay? You have to be careful of those things. And so, like Shirley Bird here, you can get stuck for months, and it can be a doling process to go through, especially now with the government shutdowns and things like this, where there are no agreements coming to play for spending bills. We're talking about the House with the debt ceiling, and then a few other things in there that you have to consider, like the IRS also not looking through because they're a part of the government, so it's prolonging the whole process. And so that's what's happening with all SBA, EIDL, especially all SBA loans. It's the same factor in between. Appreciate you guys for just joining me here. Those of you guys who have been sticking around since I got started. We're talking all small business funding today. We're talking about specifically SBA EIDL updates. I'll be getting into some of the grants, how you can get 10K grants, and what's available on the table there. And then we'll jump into what I really want you guys to understand is how much funding can you actually receive? Because many of you are like, hey, but I make $11,000. Can I get a $250,000 loan? Now, I'm going to answer that question in a moment, so stick with me to find out. But let's get back into now SBA 7A loans, and then we'll move away from there. We won't go too deep into it. But many people want these because they're low interest, longer term payments. Very understandable. Okay, that's the biggest draw, is you want longer terms for lower interests. Talking about up to 5% give or take. Okay, depends on what type of funding option you're looking for, of course, and that interest rate will vary depending on it, but you can expect lower interest rates. Except the problem with that is you can't always get access to it. And they're not funding just about anybody. You got to give things up. We're talking about if you are over a certain amount, you got to give up collateral. For going over 350,000 or so plus, you might be asked for collateral. If you're looking for other things, you might have to put a down payment. We're talking about maybe a 10% down payment, 10 to 20% down payment. Depends on a few factors in the lender, with a few other details in there. They're looking for a higher profile. They're seeing how much consistency you're doing in your business, how well it's producing income wise. But they also look at the credit. They want to see 680 plus credit, give or take. Right? They're as flexible too, but they want to know that these factors are there. If you're starting a new business or you're buying a new business, in fact, if you're buying a new business, they want to know the strength of that business. If it's barely new and starting, it's likely that they won't get you approved. And so you got to start looking at other options. Okay? The government can't always help you with it all. And I get maybe you're in a tight pinch. We've all been there. Okay, I know the painful process of having to wait, going to a bank, getting denied, having to look at my savings account, being like, and then also asking for friends and family's help. Okay. Thank you for your guys' comments. I appreciate your time. Hi, Christopher. Thank you for joining. Okay, now we're going to move into the grants. Okay, that was just a little taste of the SBA loan in terms of SBA EIDL, what's going on, and then the SBA 7A. Now let's move a little bit into the grants. So you can expect 10K grants from certain companies out there, like NAV. If you've heard of nav.com, they help you with any type of funding options. They give you information on different types of funding, but they're doing a $10,000 grand prize, and you can enter to that, and they're giving the runner-up, I think it's 5,000 still, and I think that goes on to, I think it's October 26th or the 15th. I'll have to double check it, but it's open at this time I'm making it. But when you see this, if this is later put up on the channel or elsewhere, it'll be likely done. But there are a few options here short term you can get into. KR is another one you can get in, and they're giving funding for businesses that are making less than 7 million annually, with I think it's 5 to 50 employees in business, and a few other details in there. So they're giving 10K grants as well. There are other people out there and other lenders like in the micro lending space that can give you this kind of ability. But even then, it's less accessible right now. So many people want them, and it's understandable. Not everybody can, not everybody will get one, and it's much more of a hassle of a process than you actually think. I think they're more of a hassle than they are with the SBA loan. So you got to think about twice if that's the right way to go. There are different types of grants that I'm not going to get into in this video. Again, if you're watching this later on YouTube, there'll be information in the description you can check out, and there'll be a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist. If you want to pick that up, it will give you in specific detail all 6 steps plus bonus content that you must know if you want to get ahead and get approved for funding without wasting your time, energy, money, etc. It's going to shorten that time frame for you to go from pre-qualified into getting qualified. Okay, because I work with them on a daily basis, and we see what's happening with people. I know why you're getting this approved. Okay, and it's part of my responsibility to communicate with you properly. So if I've spoken with you already, we've spoken here, direct message, maybe on the channel or elsewhere, communicated through email, etc., then I'm giving you all these questions, then it's appropriate for you to answer, because I'm trying to get down to the nitty-gritty to understand, okay, these questions. How much funding do you need? What will you be using your funds for? How soon do you need them? Etc. And so these are very common questions for me to ask. Okay, I'm here to make sure you get fundable, and so you can keep powering your small business forward. So that's what's going on with the SBA EIDL grants, and then let's move into interest rates, and then we'll close out here soon. I know we've kind of gone over time, but hopefully you're getting value out of this video. Give me a wave, give me a comment, let me know you're here. Bring other people in if that's even possible. I don't even know if you can do that on this app. I'm on TikTok. Usually I don't do this, but But again, I'll try to do this at least once a week, maybe on Thursdays or twice a week like I did today, Tuesdays and Thursdays, give or take. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be answering them usually in videos here or in my other channels. We can talk through email. But interest rates. So when we talk about interest rates, of course you don't want a high interest, okay? That's likely the first thing your mind goes to. People always ask, when I give them details, what are the interest rates? Or what is the interest rate on the specific advance or a loan that we have spoken about? And it varies, right? Every single lender will be different. Every program will be different. Every type of loan will be different. But you have to consider, even the greater question is this: will the benefit of me getting this amount outweigh the cost? Okay. This is why you're in the alternative lending. You're not going to a bank. You're not going to traditional SBA 7As. You can't always get those. It's not common for that to happen. It's common for that to happen. What I'm trying to tell you is you don't have to take a higher interest, but you have to understand, what is my benefit of getting it versus the cost? Does the benefit outweigh it or not? And you go from there. For example, you ask yourself, will I be able to pay back this loan? This is very much the first primary question. There are secondary ones that I'll get into. You know, as somebody who studied economics, studied business, I studied chemistry, business, economics at the university community level, different topics, well-rounded. And I went deep into some. I know for a fact what's happening right now. And there's been a big shift. So you got to start opening up your eyes to, okay, does the benefit outweigh the costs? What are the pros here? What are the cons down here? So think about that before you get into those interest rates. You got to ask yourself, like, hey, for example, I'm a restaurant owner. I need to build a new patio deck for more customers. I can sit about 20 customers. I get about 40. More about 60 people per day that come and sit outside on this patio. I can evaluate that. And I think that would bring me in, if I do the math correctly, before, that's going to bring me another 20,000 to 30,000 in profits per month. And we're talking about annually another 100,000. So you got to think about that. So if I'm speaking to you and you're like, well, there's a high interest rate on a specific program, but you qualify for, you got to think about, what is the benefit versus the payment? Can I double, triple, quadruple my profits? Maybe you won't see it this second, but you got to have a bigger vision for your small business. You got to say to yourself, for example, I spoke to a couple people who wanted a new truck. They make around 11,000 to 14,000 per month, and they're asking for 250,000. And I know, I get it. You don't have that knowledge of understanding if I can actually get that, and that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to judge. I'd be in the same situation as you are. So when I get in there and I tell them, look, this isn't really realistic. We're not even getting into the interest rates right now. We're talking about how much you can get funded for. Usually you can get between 10 to 20% on business terms. Those are short-term solutions. And we're talking up as high as like 30% for more of the medium to long term. We're talking about years. So you got to factor that in. Like, if they're taking 10 to 30% of your annual revenue is how much that they can fund you, how much does that go for per month? What does that look like per day? How about per week? Would that actually benefit you? Would you have enough money to access? So sometimes you may get approved for more, but you'll have a higher interest rate. Or you can get approved for less, have very low to zero interest rate. So those are the things you have to factor in. Yeah, merchant cash advances, we're talking about like 10% to 100+%. But does it pay off for you to get that? And the other things you have to look at are my tea. No, I'm kidding. ginseng tea. Really good. It's Asian. Got it from the Asian store. Amazing. My favorite one. Go to that one. Make sure we always have stock in it in the pantry. My favorite. Thank you guys for following me. Thank you, Wallace. Appreciate it. Happy you're here. Those of you again who are just joining, I just took a brief break just to drink a little bit of tea. It's 1:11 p.m. here Pacific Standard Time in Vancouver, Washington, October the 12th. And I'm here updating you guys on all SBA, EIDL, as any type of SBA grants, and so much more funding as well. I'm going to get into the alternative solutions in a moment here. I think my phone is running low on battery. I saw 20% earlier. But we just talked about interest rates. And you don't always have to take a higher interest rate. It depends, again, on the benefit of your business. Right? You're not going to a bank anymore. You're going to alternative lending. And there are factors in there such as what's your credit? Can you give up any type of collateral if that's asked for? What is your monthly revenue? Right? We talk about the 3 C's: cash flow, capital, and cash flow, collateral, and then credit. What are those 3? And then you can get funding depending on those 3 types of categories. Right? And so you got to factor that into play with interest rates depending on the company, and the 10 to 30% availability and so forth. Okay, now let's go into the funds, how much you can get. That example I laid out earlier, if you make 11 to 14,000, you make less, but you're asking for 250,000 because you want a truck or 2. It's likely not going to happen. Okay, if you make less, you have to get less. It's the law of numbers, and that's the way this works with funding. It's not going to be this ridiculous number where you're like, I want 200, I want $1 million. I make only 11,000. It's unrealistic. No lender is very minimal. That's a huge risk. It doesn't matter if you can prove, you say, okay, this is what I want to use it for. They can have the vision for your business, but they want you to build up. So you can always add on funds. It's not like you need to get 250,000 out this second. Get that. Maybe you make 11,000, you get 7,500 or whatever that is, 8,000. And you're like, yeah, I can use that money now to make a repair on a truck. And then that repair on the truck will then afford me to get up to 250,000 later on, because now I'm making more money in my business. Or now I can use some of that money now to get an existing truck. Maybe it's not new, but now I'm getting more people, more employees, and then that's expanding my business. So when people say, well, I can't get a new truck with up to 25,000, well, you got to have to think. You got to use your noggin. Okay, you got to use this. That's how I was taught growing up. I went to school, educated myself, and I used this a lot more than my voice. That's why maybe I blog a lot more than I do video. But that's how I look at it, and that's how many other lenders will too. So if you're asking for it, that's a big ask. You're like, I want 250,000, but I make 11,000. It's very unrealistic. You can get more than your income. You can get 1 to 2x depending on the lender and the type of company, but build your way. Right? I have a gentleman, for example, he wanted a 150 to 250,000 plus loan, and been talking to him and growing a great relationship already. And there's times when he's like, okay, well, I can just start off lower and get 25,000 out first because that's what I need at the moment. And then I can, if I want more, I know I can get approved for it. So then we'll go there. So it's all about not always what you need, but you got to take what you can. Okay. You got to think about it that way. So that is going to round off everything I wanted to talk about in this specific video. We talked about SBA EIDL, grants, interest rates, how much funding can you get, what is your fundability, determining different factors on that, how to determine your cost of funds. I'll try to make a separate video for that, but that's all in my business loan checklist. I made a specific document. You can pick it up in the bio if you're watching this here on the TikTok. If you're going to be on YouTube or elsewhere, look down below in the description for all other things, startup funding, non-startup funding, what you can get funded for, alternative-based solutions where you can even get up to 2 million, as much as up to 25,000 same-day instant approval. Look in the bio for more information. Also in the description if you're watching this later on. It should be uploaded in time. All right, thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate your time. If you guys do not find me here live on Thursday, I'll be probably very busy helping people or just busy building up more things. that I have going on. Continue watching my content, and if you haven't followed me, please go ahead and do so. You won't regret this. When you're building your business, you're going to know what to do, who to turn to for help on anything. Okay, thank you. Bye.